Welcome, everyone. Okay, so today we're talking about, well, is your price too low, which is a common topic, and I have a feeling many of you may be surprised at some of my answers related to this topic. I have a video on is my price too high, and so I thought I would definitely talk about is your price too low? How do you know if it's too low? How do you approach this concept of all these photographers? And are people leaving money on the table? Is it okay to charge $50 for an hour and be fine with it? The answer, again, may surprise you, but there are a lot of reasons why to and why not to do certain things, and what should you be concerned about. Hey, everyone, welcome. This channel is all about pricing your photography. This is the live version. It's Monday afternoon, and many of them Monday afternoons, Eastern Standard Time, usually 1, 2, maybe 3 o'clock, I will go live, and I will share some ideas with you. As soon as they allow me to set up specific events here on YouTube with the desktop version, I know you can through if you use like OBS and all that. There are a number of ways you can go about it, but there's the new desktop go live, and I'm using that, and it works pretty well. I have been using my iPad in the past, and I've had mixed results there, but this makes life a lot easier. So I'm so happy it's here, which will allow me to go live a lot easier and more often. And hey, maybe I will go a little more often than just our Monday meetings. But those of you who are on the replay, welcome. When you come in live, you certainly can put in your questions in the chat. If you're here on the replay, put them in the comments, and I'll be happy to answer your comments. Happy to do that anytime. And so consider that. Consider your questions. That's what we're here for. It's a forum to really, with the goal to make your business more profitable and ultimately our industry just a little more healthier. And of course, with that, again, as I said, some of my answers will be a little bit different than what you may be considering. But let's talk about this being too low. What is too low? And, the fact is there is no industry standard for any price. I mean, I know there in some areas, maybe there's some day rates that are average, or maybe there are some, per image prices that are average, standard that people kind of nod, yeah, this is, but you know what? There's so many photographers now. The prices are all over the board. If you've ever been to a local ASMP meeting, American Society of Media Photographers, or other local camera clubs and maybe professional photography organizations that they've done the pricing game in a sense. They go through and they ask everybody, okay, well, they make a statement. They put a list of items out. This is the job, and these are the things that are involved, and what would you charge for it? And you'd be amazed that prices are all over the place. And the fact is, it's even worse today than when I first saw that 20 years ago. The fact is you can't be worried too much about what other photographers are doing. Otherwise, you're going to drive yourself crazy. And you'll be focusing on something that will not be getting you more business because you have one job, and I'll explain that in a few moments. But is your price too low? There is an answer, and it can be too low. It can be too low when it is costing you money to do the job. And a lot of people do jobs and don't even realize it's really costing them money. For example, some photographers will say, hey, what's wrong with just picking up something for $50 here? It's only going to take me 15 minutes. Yeah, but $50, you say $50 for 15 minutes, but it wasn't $50 for 15 minutes. You had to talk to the client. You had to plan things out. You had to get to where you were going. You had to take time of your day. You have to process the images or reprocess them, or just generally upload them or transfer the files. Whatever it may be, it's going to be a lot longer than the 15 minutes. And chances are you get down to the point of where you're working for a very small amount of money. Another reason why this can hurt is because if you really plan, see, a lot of times people get into this mindset and they say, okay, well, hey, I got $100 to take this photograph. And it's like, how great is that? And then they start working the numbers and start thinking, okay, man, I got $100. You know, it was a half hour of my life, and $100. You know, do a couple of these a day. I'm making $200, and you know, so I need a couple a day like this, and you do that all week, and that's 10 jobs a week. But see, what you don't realize is the amount of effort that it takes to get those 10 jobs a week. And the chances are you're not going to get those 10 jobs a week in that way that you're thinking. It's been 6 weeks since you took some photographs and you got a job for $100 on the side and made a little extra money. And now you're thinking, boy, if I could just go off on my own, become a photographer. Well, if you set yourself up for these smaller jobs and smaller rates, and then you go off on your own and wonder why you're not making a living, it's because you set the playing field. And so is it wrong? Is somebody completely wrong for accepting that $100 job? No, absolutely not. If you have a part-time job, you have a camera, you have some lights and can do the job well and serve the customer well, and you're not losing money, you may not be making a lot of money, but you just wanted the opportunity and you accept $100. There is no law against that. There is no law against that. However, if you're planning down the road to become a professional in some way, it's going to be a barrier to entry. And many photographers get into that habit early on of not understanding the business model and then fail when they get into the business, because it is a business. And so so that's what I'm talking about. So there's nothing wrong with it, but the answer is yes, it's too low when it is costing you money. And once you officially go into business, it's costing you money. There are elements to finding business and the time you put into finding new business. So again, going back to $50, $100, how much time and effort did it take for you to find that one job for that small amount of money? So again, that's what it all comes down to. But what is the one thing that you need to be concerned about as a photographer? And when I say don't worry about what other people are doing, the fact is there are so many photographers that competition is irrelevant. That's the basic fact. Competition is irrelevant. You have one person to compete against, and that is you. And your job is to find the people that are purchasing your style of photography at the rate that you require or command. And it's just that simple. That is your job, to find those people. And yes, are there fewer and fewer the higher the number? Absolutely. But there are photographers who make $50,000 a day. It's just that simple. They make $50,000 and they maybe work once or twice a month, but that's okay. I'm sure you'd be happy with that too. But they earn that over time. They earn that over time, but they also ask for it, and they develop the right attitude in terms of what it takes to get there. Not as many people can be there, but you know what? There's more opportunity than you might think. We are certainly in the heyday of photography. We are certainly in a situation where people need images. And if you can provide a certain style and quality and level of professionalism even, where people have confidence in hiring you and will hire you again because they know it's going to get done right, they'll pay the price, because ultimately, you have to remember, people need these images to make more money or to advance their cause or whatever it may be. So if there is value to these images, and so you have to figure out the people who understand that value and move forward. And the person who's charging $50, yes, sometimes they're in a situation where they're leaving some money on the table. But for the most part, the client that is, the photographers that are getting the $50, and that client probably never would have been your client, because that person probably never would have paid that much more. Maybe that $50 photographer could have gotten $100. Maybe they left a little bit of money on the table, but they may not have gotten your $500 that you were aiming for, or $1,000 or $2,000 for whatever it may have been. So that's the deal. So don't worry about the people who are doing that. And chances are, and I had this experience early on in my career, where I had a client or a referral to me for a pretty professional organization, sports organization, needed some photographs. And they came to the referral to me was, hey, it was actually from another bigger organization in town, and they referred me, but I was very young in my career, and they asked me how much I would charge, and I said $50 for what needed. And that person, that marketing director, knew immediately that I was not the right fit to create those portraits that were needed, because I obviously wasn't presenting a professional rate. I was just talking with somebody the other day how I lost a job. A corporation that I was regular photographing on a regular basis, $200, $300 per image is a per image pricing situation. And I would, when I'd go out, I'd make $1,500 to $3,000 each time I went out. And I lost the job to somebody else who charges $10,000 a day, because they felt that person was going to create images at the level that they felt were necessary in the new direction they were going. And chances are they were right. And it's just that simple. So you can lose, and it's not the only job I've ever lost because I was too low. So the fact is, the people who have budgets usually want to spend those budgets, and the people who don't won't. And so the people who are charging $25, $50 just looking for experience will find those people for the most part. And yes, there are exceptions to everything I say, but I'm telling you, for the most part, 80, 90% of the time, that is the case. Okay, so those of you who have questions related to pricing, those of you who have questions related to your cost of doing business. Your cost of doing business is how you find out if you're losing money or not. How much does it cost per day? And I have a video here on the channel, Cost of Doing Business. We're always talking about new ways to develop your photography business, making it more profitable. And of course, I want to know how you're going about making it more profitable. Put that in the comments below. And I will talk to you next week live. Probably it'll be 1, 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And if you have a specific question to me, @Rosh Sillars on Twitter is a great way to connect. We'll talk to you next time.